with students and religious leaders. Bangladesh students leaders say that they will reveal all secret treaties with India. Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli's visit to China results in 9-point MOUs signed between Nepal and China. No substantive deal on Belt and Road Initiative seems to have come out so far. Pakistan moves to curb terror outfits. Social media use bid by Islamabad to counter PTI's growing influence. India celebrates the 53rd Navy Day. All right, let's get you the first story that we are tracking, which is, of course, coming in from Bangladesh, where the interim government's chief advisor, Muhammad Yunus, is now busy hosting student movement leaders and religious figures at his official Jamuna guest house in Dhaka. On Tuesday, the so-called anti-discrimination student movement convener, Hasnat Abdullah, met with Muhammad Yunus amidst the escalating tensions between Bangladesh and India, Hasnat told media. Following the meeting, and said that we conveyed the people's message from the streets to the chief advisor and emphasized the need for the state to reveal all secret treaties with India. He also urged India to view this interim government as a product of a mass uprising rather than linking it to former Awami League government. He also accused the Indian media of actively promoting misinformation campaigns against Bangladesh, inciting violence through their reporting. Okay, let's get in my colleague Saurabh Gupta, who's been tracking this, joining me live from Kolkata to fill us in with what's happening right now. Talk to us, Saurabh, about what's the latest as far as the developments unfolding in Bangladesh, happening at a very fast pace, even as some of the commentary that's coming in is extremely harsh when it comes to how they view the India-Bangladesh relationship.
Yes, this is
Okay, before we try and reestablish that link with Saurabh, let me tell our viewers that this is the latest in a series of very anti-India commentary that's been coming in from Muhammad Yunus, as well as those close to the advisor of the interim government, whether it is in terms of the student leaders or several other important appointments in the government. All right, I believe we have Saurabh back with us. Go ahead, Saurabh. You were talking to us about the latest that's unfolding in Bangladesh. Okay, all right. Let's get in a prominent voice on the latest that's unfolding and taking out in Bangladesh. Shafqat Alam joins me. He is, in fact, the secretary to the advisor of the present government, advisor to the Yunus government and to Muhammad Yunus. Mr. Alam, let me start by asking you that as things are unfolding in Bangladesh, would you not want the situation to become less volatile than what it is right now, even though months have passed right now, but law and order continues to remain a concern? And the question I want to ask you is, what exactly is it that you are doing, your government is doing about this?
I think this situation is stable and very much normal here. I don't know what news you are getting in India, but we can see that situation is quite stable here.
There is still no legal counsel for the Hindu priest Chinmay Krishna Das is an extremely worrying aspect. Why is the state not providing a lawyer to Chinmay Krishna Das?
Yes, I think this is, we haven't stopped anyone from representing Mr. Chinmay Krishna Das, and it's, we hope that Chinmay Das lawyers would represent him. We haven't said anything to him. We haven't stopped him from representing him. I don't know why he didn't appear today. But we obviously, no matter who he is, Mr. Chinmoy Das, he is a Hindu community leader. We would like to see him being represented by some of the top lawyers of the country.
All right. The sense one gets is that the government hasn't been able to really arrest the trend of the repeated attacks that are taking place on minorities. How do you comment on this, given the fact that some of those videos, photos and commentary that's been coming in is actually, attacks that are taking place on minorities that continue unabated?
I don't think like whatever like there are obviously several isolated incident, like in which one we know that in Chittagong there was one incident in which some stones were thrown at a Hindu temple. You know what happened last week was that Muslim lawyers were brutally killed by followers of Mr. Chinmoy Krishnadas. We have arrested some of these people by scrutinizing the video footages. And that's why like there were some tensions, but we have stepped up security in Chittagong and across all the places in the country. We have stepped up security in all the ISKCON temples. So situation is now, and also the political parties, Professor Yunus himself and the religious communities, they have appealed for calm and people responded positively.
Mr. Alam, when you talk about what's happening in Bangladesh when it comes to the treatment of minorities, the former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina has also hit out. And it's not just about the Hindus, it's about some of the other minority communities as well. Whether you take the Buddhists, the Christians, the Ahmadiyas, Sheikh Hasina has in fact spoken about all of them now being under increased attack and scrutiny by the present government, given how the attacks continue unabated.
Like if you quote her, then she is a mass murderer. She, under her watch, thousands of people were disappeared. Thousands of people were brutally murdered. Even in July, August, she was killing. At her order, the police were killing hundreds of young boys and girls. Like I don't know why, why you are quoting her. She's a mass murderer. And she, under her watch, like 15 years, there was not a single pair elections. All the elections were rigged, and she ran a dictatorship, brutal dictatorship. That's why, like, she had to flee the country because of such a huge and popular mass uprising. It's everywhere. Every campus, every university, every college participated in the revolution against her.
Mr. Alam, let's talk about Chinmoy Krishnadas and ISKCON. Is there a campaign to target ISKCON as well as those associated with ISKCON, the Hindu priests as well?
We haven't targeted ISKCON. There is no truth here. ISKCON is free to preach their religion. ISKCON has runs temple. We know ISKCON also has done some charity works. We haven't said that we are not banning ISKCON. They are free to do whatever they want. We see them as a religious outfit, religious organizations like any other Catholic organization or Protestant organization or Muslim organization or Christian or Buddhist organizations. And we believe in religious right of people. And Mr. Krishnadas, Chinmoy Krishnadas, has been suspended from ISKCON, I think, several months ago, maybe more than 6 months ago.
Okay, now it's been 5 months since the student revolution took place in Bangladesh. How soon do you think normalcy can return? How soon do you think the path towards elections can return in Bangladesh?
I think calm I think there is a communication gap between what you see from New Delhi or in any parts of India and what the situation is in Bangladesh. What we expect from you, I know NDTV is a very rich news or TV station. It can easily send its team, news team, its TV team, like quite a lot. You can send quite a lot of journalists here. You can see the situation here, whether things have stabilized or things are still volatile. You can see it for yourself. We think situation is normal here. We regularly publishing crime data, and which also shows that crimes the situation is as good as it was like last October and November or last year. So I don't know, obviously there were some tensions. There were some, like the murder of the Muslim lawyer obviously triggered some tensions, but our society acted together, and I think things are very much normal right now. And again, I would ask you, I would invite NDTV journalists, come and visit Bangladesh, see for yourself, take the information yourself, talk to the Hindu leaders, talk to the Hindu people, talk to other minorities, talk to like anyone you want to talk, because we see some industrial scale misinformation coming out from Indian media. You just come and see it for yourself.
Shafiqul Alam, thanks for taking out the time. Not all of it can be disinformation. Not all of it can be driven by anything but facts. There have been videos, there have been photos, and most importantly, news flow is coming in so very constantly from Bangladesh, giving a sense that all is not well. But appreciate you taking out the time and speaking to NDTV. All right, on that note, we slip into a very short break. We come back on the other side and talk more about Kuwait's foreign minister in India. What does that mean? And New Delhi's larger strategy for the Middle East region. Stay with us.
What's wrong with the car? It's okay, lads. I'm with the AA. Bombay mix.
Because the AA has more expert patrols across the country, you'll be back on the road in no time. No wonder more people choose the AA. Join today.
I've got the scratch cards.
What's going on?
Musical scratch cards.
It's a Bennett family tradition. And go.
Pep's got some. Pass it to Katie.
Oh, Katie, why didn't you say?
Hey, Dad! Bless you in the arm.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Add some play to Christmas with scratch cards from the National Lottery.
People love to find me, but me, I love finding the perfect gift. Like for my friend Wenda, who loves coffee.
Gifts that say I get you. Etsy has it.
Hello?
Hello? I need help.
Hello? I desperately need a place to stay.
Every 10 minutes, we get a call like this from another homeless young person. This Christmas, we're expecting more frightened young people to call the Centrepoint helpline than ever before. We must answer their calls. Please, text SAFE to 70755 or search Centrepoint 5 online to start your gift of just £5 a month. In the months ahead, you'll know your gift is helping more homeless young people get the safety and support they urgently need. Thank you.
Join me and the Style Squad. Shop now exclusively at Freeman's.
This is an urgent appeal from UNICEF UK. Children in Gaza are running out of food, water and medicine, and we need your help. Families are in danger. The services they rely on have been destroyed and their lives turned upside down. UNICEF is working non-stop, providing life-saving medical supplies, clean water and fuel to keep services running. But we can't do it without you. To find out how you can help, search UNICEF UK Gaza or text Gaza to 84901. £39 could provide a family with an emergency water and hygiene kit. Whatever you can afford, your vital gift will help UNICEF keep working with children and families in Gaza to get through this crisis. Search UNICEF UK Gaza online or text Gaza to 84901 and help bring hope for children caught in this devastating conflict. Thank you.
All right, shifting focus to the latest that's coming in from news coming in India, where Kuwait's Foreign Minister Abdullah Ali Al Yahya is scheduled to meet the Prime Minister today. And in fact, he is in the national capital as part of his ongoing 3-day visit to India. New Delhi and Kuwait City share a historically strong bilateral relationship that has stood the test of time. Rooted in centuries of trade and cultural exchange, the partnership predates Kuwait's independence in 1961, during which the Indian rupee served as its legal tender. The trip is preceded by Indian Foreign Minister, that is Dr. Jaishankar's visit to Kuwait in August earlier. And during Dr. Jaishankar's visit, the countries dwelled on various facets of their bilateral partnership, whether it is political, trade, investment, energy, security, consular as well as cultural matters, and of course people-to-people ties. India's West Asia push has been very evident under Modi 3.0, and what really lies ahead in terms of the larger GCC push that this could really fit in for India going forward. Okay, shifting focus now to the other big story that we are tracking. Nepal's Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli and Chinese President Xi Jinping have met in Beijing and signed a 9-point memorandum of understanding to enhance bilateral cooperation across various sectors. The signing took place on Tuesday during KP Sharma Oli's ongoing 4-day visit to China. The agreement covers 8 key areas of cooperation. Kathmandu has also expressed interest in a no-loan pact concerning the projects under China's BRI, signaling mutual understanding between the two countries. But there's no substantive BRI reference in the agreement. It is a fact that brings to the fore Nepal's internal political struggle when it comes to BRI. Oli has been facing the prospect of a major political crisis given the fact that his largest coalition partner, that is Nepali Congress, is very vocal against taking any Chinese loans. In fact, Nepali Congress is very clear that only grants will be taken, no loans will be taken from China. And the reason for that is how some of the other Chinese projects have turned out, and of course, what has happened in Sri Lanka 2 years back. The Nepali delegation is set to return on the 5th of December and remains to be seen that what will be next in terms of Nepal-China relationship and the impact this could have on India as well. All right, Ajay Bhadrakan joins me to really talk more about what this means. He's a senior journalist, a research director for Center for Social Innovation and Foreign Policy. Ajay, I appreciate you joining us live from Kathmandu. The fact is that there's a lot of back and forth between Nepal and China. There have been prime ministers in the last couple of years, one sanctioning the project, other, of course, cancelling it. In this back and forth, how do you see the relationship between Nepal and China from here on?
I think the relationship has been very tricky. Nepal signed, as you know, the BRI agreement in 2017, and since then there has been no progress on BRI. So during this visit, I think the BRI was at the center of the focus of this visit, and at the last moment, Nepal and China managed to sign an agreement to move forward the BRI agreement. It is now termed a framework, which allows Nepal and China to move forward on the BRI. So that's a progress in a sense that at least there has been some progress on agreement. And the first version of the BRI implementation plan was sent by the Chinese in October 2021. So that's almost 3 years ago. And the draft at that time was agreed upon by the Communist parties, governments. The Nepali Congress more or less had been ignoring that implementation plan since 2021, but now the current BRI draft, as we understand, is supposed to be a Nepali version, which is completely different from what the Chinese have proposed. So in that
the harmonious clause is not there. That's what Nepali side have been saying all along, that they don't want only Chinese contractors. They don't want some of those very stiff penalties that are imposed by China around the world. They've seen how it's brought Sri Lanka at the brink. But I want to understand from you that how does this change the relationship? Because if Nepal says no to BRI in its present form, it's no good for China. Because, you know, a watered-down version doesn't really serve China's interest, or does it?
If you look at the BRI agreement itself, which has not been made public, I think your argument would be true. But there are other ways in which China is pursuing its interests in Nepal. So if we look at the joint statement produced by Nepal and China, it includes many of the ideas that were initially in the BRI implementation plan. So I think what has happened now is the watered down version of the BRI implementation plan, or the framework agreement, basically focuses on 5 areas, and the Nepali Congress has made sure that it will not be taking any commercial loans, and it does not want to take even concessional loans. So that was their sticking point between Nepali Congress and China, and they have now used the term aid agreement, aid financing. So that term.
See, the only agreement that stands out for me, apart from some of the others, the only one that stands out for me that I would probably pay more close attention to is the pursuance of Chinese language in Nepal. That, of course, could be the precursor to more Confucian institutes being set up in Nepal. And this is the playbook that took place in Pakistan a decade ago. I want to understand from you, do you see that happening here, or do you think the political opposition to that could be very severe from Nepali Congress and some of the other coalition partners of KP Sharma Oli?
Yes, that's the very tricky part. Like if we look at the BRI implementation plan that was forwarded by the Chinese in 2021, it was a very strategic kind of document that incorporated almost every facet of the relationship, whether it was soft power diplomacy, expanding Chinese influence, security cooperation, and a whole gamut of agreements regarding, for example, financing arrangements, exchange, trading in bilateral currencies and stuff like that. It covered the whole gamut that reflected China's strategy in Nepal to enhance its influence as well as to further its strategic interests. But now what has happened is the BRI document sort of waters down China's ambitions in Nepal. But at the same time, there are other ways through which China appears to be pursuing. So if we look at what happened on Tuesday, was there were, on the one hand, today there was an agreement on BRI, but yesterday they issued a joint communique which more or less reflects the other things that were covered in 21 proposal by the Chinese, but which were covered today.
So we'll have more discussions on this going forward, because if Nepal does decide to embrace China and China's BRI, we're going to have a lot more of this conversation going forward, and remains to be seen how does it end up for KP Sharma Oli and Nepal from here on. But I appreciate you taking out the time. And shifting focus now to the other important neighbor for India, that's Pakistan. Well, Islamabad has finally decided to tighten noose on terror outfits. It intends to restrict the use of social media by banned terror groups. Pakistan's National Action Plan Coordination Committee met on Tuesday with Interior Minister Mohsin Naqvi in the chair. It has decided to undertake quote-unquote comprehensive measures to prevent the activities of banned terror outfits on social media. A decision has been taken to ban social media accounts of terror outfits in coordination with the country's telecom authority. That's the word coming in. Pakistan's provinces have also been told to take steps to stop the sale and usage of illegal SIM cards. Officials have also been directed to come up with an effective mechanism. Those familiar with Pakistani politics know that nothing comes without a caveat. There's one here as well. Many in Pakistan believe the decision has political connotations. Several ministers have been labeling the former Prime Minister Imran Khan-led opposition PTI a violent group and not a political party. Already in the middle of talks of imposing governor's rule in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and placing ban on PTI, they allege hardcore criminals used the PTI protest as a cover to storm Islamabad. And they also accuse the party of using arms against security personnel. All right, turning our attention to the other big story, India marks Navy Day today, November 24th. The nation's maritime forces look back with pride and reflection. Today is the 4th of December at one of the most audacious military strikes that took place in modern history. We are talking about the attack on Karachi port in 1971. This report tells you just how it all shaped up and why every Indian needs to be so proud of the Indian Navy.
It was December 4th, 1971, when the Indian Navy executed a bold and decisive attack on Pakistan's key naval base at Karachi. The operation, known as Trident, aimed to cripple the Pakistani Navy and disrupt vital shipping routes. Under the cover of night, 5 Indian submarines and missile boats infiltrated the heavily fortified waters of Karachi, a daring move that would alter the course of the conflict. The surprise strike led to the sinking of Pakistani destroyer PNS Khyber. Not only this, the damage to crucial oil storage facilities left Karachi's port in flames. While the raid achieved its tactical objectives, it sent a powerful message. India's maritime strength was undeniable, and its resolve unshakable. Today, the Indian Navy stands stronger than ever, continuing to uphold the legacy of courage and innovation that was so vividly displayed in the waters of Karachi in 1971. As the nation celebrates Navy Day 2024, it honors those who served. It also remembers a moment in history when the seas themselves bore witness to a turning point in the subcontinent's destiny.
Dreams come true, come to the other side.
Join me and the Style Squad. Shop now exclusively at Freeman's.
The war in Ukraine continues to put children in terrible danger. Homes, schools and hospitals have been destroyed. Families are still displaced from their homes. UNICEF is providing warm clothes, boots and blankets to keep children and babies warm. £32 could help provide warm winter clothes for a baby or young child. Search UNICEF Ukraine or text WINTER to 84902 and help make a difference for children today.
We're finally going through my Tom's things. I want to make him proud.
Welcome to British Seniors, the UK's #1 rated provider of over 50s life insurance. We're proud to offer our seniors lifetime guarantee. With 100% of claims having been paid, we guarantee your premiums will never go up and that you'll speak to one of our specialists in the UK. Plus, when you sign up, you'll receive a £135 gift card.
Be proud to protect your loved ones with British Seniors. To get a free quote today, call our UK team or visit britishseniors.co.uk.
As a dad, I know life's unpredictable. It's all fun and games until it's not. That's why I'm not putting things off anymore. I'm protecting the life we've built by calling Smart Insurance.
Just like families, not all life insurance is the same. That's why we offer the Smart Family Guarantee. We guarantee a straightforward application process, award-winning service you can trust, and cover from day one. Plus, you get your choice of a £125 gift card.
To get a free quote today, call our specialist UK team or visit smartinsurance.co.uk.
From interesting tech startups to industry-leading companies, politics, sports, culture, curry, cricket. Oh, there's so much to talk about. Like me, if you too thrive on interesting conversations, this is a show you cannot miss. Watch this space to know more about all matters and all people that make Britain what it is today. Out of Britain, with me, Radhika Iyer.
This is India Global. I'm Gaurie Dwivedi. Let's get you the other big stories that we are tracking right now. The latest countdown to Trump 2.0 in another dramatic turn of events in the Trump 2.0 administration. Well, the outspoken Fox News host and staunch Trump ally Pete Hegseth is now making headlines for all the wrong reasons. President-elect Donald Trump is considering Florida Governor Ron DeSantis as a possible replacement for Pete Hegseth, his pick to run the Pentagon. This comes just days after Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz made a similar announcement shaking the foundations of the pro-Trump camp. Gaetz withdrew from consideration after being nominated to be Donald Trump's Attorney General amidst a sex scandal. Hegseth's candidacy has now landed in controversy. This amidst increasing disquiet amongst some GOP senators about allegations concerning his treatment of women, drinking and capacity to run the U.S. military behemoth. But these are not the only dominoes to fall. Trump's pick to lead the Drug Enforcement Administration has also abruptly withdrawn his name from consideration days after being chosen. That is Chad Chronister. He posted on X that he made the decision as the gravity of this very important responsibility set in. He didn't cite a very specific reason why he's chosen to withdraw, other than concluding that he wants to continue in his present role. Now, with these apparent retreats, the question is, will others follow? All right, let's get in David Johnston to get a perspective on how this really is adding up for Trump 2.0. Thank you so much, Mr. Johnston, for taking out the time. Professor of Public Policy, Rochester Institute of Technology. The fact is that as things are looking right now, this could be the third key appointment that may have to be rethought of by President-elect Donald Trump. It doesn't augur well for his administration, does it?
It certainly does not, Gaurie. Donald Trump always brags, I pick the best people, I get the best people, and then he comes up with candidates like these. 6 Republican senators have indicated to various journalists that they will not vote to confirm. And you only need 1 senator on the committee that oversees this appointment to decline to support Hegseth, and he's out. And given that there's more likely coming about his conduct, being drunk, assaulting women, and remarks that he's made, I think it's highly unlikely that Hegseth will become Secretary of Defense, a job for which he has no qualifications.
Professor Johnston, now explain to us that, when one is, of course, the set of announcements that have been made by President-elect, then there is the entire process that has to go through, right? Why is it that people are choosing to withdraw their candidature instead of going through the process? Explain to our viewers the whole process as far as Senate appointments are concerned. What is it that they are now foreseeing, which is the reason why they are opting out of the race?
Gaurie, one of the principles in the American Constitution is that principal officers of the United States government, military officers, and federal judges must be approved by the Senate, the upper chamber of Congress. And it only requires a majority vote, but if you can't get a majority of the 100 senators to vote for you, you do not get the appointment. Now, traditionally, if problems arose, for example, a very popular Senator John Tower from Texas back in 1989 was nominated to be Defense Secretary. He was very qualified for that job, but he had numerous incidents of public drunkenness, and he was rejected as a result of that. And typically, once you know there are not enough votes for you to go through, you withdraw so that the president may propose a new candidate for that position.
Right. And lastly, the fact that there have been 3 in your assessment, do you think there could be more, or this could pretty much be capping this, some of the controversial appointments or the announcements at least that have been made by the president-elect so far?
Well, these were all cabinet positions, people who run the agencies at the direction of the president. I think the remaining cabinet positions that have been announced will go through. However, it's almost certain that there will be people in sub-cabinet positions running smaller agencies who will run into similar issues about their conduct, about their backgrounds. Donald Trump had planned to do these appointments without having the FBI do background checks. He's now been persuaded that at least for some of the positions, notably the Justice Department, which includes the FBI, that he will have FBI background checks so that he's not blindsided by things like the accusations of sexual assault and drunkenness involving Pete Hegseth.
Indeed. And which brings me to ask that how soon could all of this actually get over? Because, the one thing that President-elect has said again and again is he wants to start and, hit the ball running, so to say, from day one. How long will his entire cabinet appointments and everything take for him to actually get the job done, or at least get going on it?
Well, he's not president until January 20th, so all of
Right,
this is
after
simply
that. I'm asking after
indicative.
that, yeah.
Right. Typically, it takes several months for this process, but if Senate Republicans who have a 53-seat majority want to, they can very quickly move these nominations through and get them approved. But you should expect that the last cabinet appointee probably won't be confirmed and sworn into office until sometime in April.
Okay, so this could take some time, and hopefully by then there will not be any more unlikely truths coming out of the closet till then. Hopefully, yes. Yes, hopefully. Thank you so much, Professor Johnston, for speaking to me and really decoding how things are unraveling right now for President-elect Donald Trump. Shifting focus, a landmark decision looms as the U.S. Supreme Court prepares to rule on a contentious case that could reshape the future of transgender rights for minors across the country. At the heart of the case, is whether states can enforce bans on gender-affirming treatments for teenagers, including hormones and surgeries, which many argue are critical for the mental health and well-being of trans youth. The ruling comes amidst a growing national debate, with conservative lawmakers pushing for tighter restrictions and advocacy groups warning of devastating consequences for transgender teens. The stakes couldn't be higher, and the outcome will not only impact the lives of thousands of adolescents, but could also set a precedent for future legal battles for LGBTQ+ rights. With public opinion sharply divided, all eyes are on the court. Will it uphold state bans, or will it protect the rights of transgender youth in the face of escalating political pressure? All right, on that note, we slip into a very short break. We come back with the latest that's unfolding in South Korea. Stay with us.
Imagine Christmas without the Salvation Army. Imagine George alone on Christmas Day. Mike, cold and frightened. Charlie, hoping Santa will come. Without the Salvation Army, many people would have nothing this Christmas. Please call 0800 028 9111 and give £19 to bring gifts and hope to vulnerable people this Christmas. That's 0800 028 9111. Thank you.
Turn that resistance up, give me what you can.
That was lit. Just hold it here, team, and breathe. Let's hustle hard. Let's get it.
Nice work. Smashing it over there.
Say hello to your perfect shape with the Velform Cross Compression Shaper from JML. The incredible figure-enhancing shapewear with an X-Flex cross-panel design that instantly flattens your tummy, shaping away unwanted love handles whilst helping to smooth away back fat to minimise muffin tops. It's comfortable to wear all day, and it's discreet so it won't show under your clothes. Achieve the silhouette you've always wanted with the Velform Cross Compression Shaper. Only $19.99 from Asda, Boots, Morrisons, Tesco and JMLDirect.com.
This is an urgent appeal from UNICEF UK. Conflict in Gaza is cutting off supplies of food, medicine and clean water. Thousands of children are malnourished and sick. UNICEF is working non-stop, providing life-saving therapeutic food for children like 2-year-old Lean, who's receiving urgent treatment for severe malnutrition. Her story is just one of thousands. Search UNICEF UK Gaza online or text Gaza to 84903 or scan the QR code to find out how you can help. £39 could provide life-saving therapeutic food for up to 3 children for 1 week. Whatever you can afford, your vital gift will help UNICEF provide life-saving supplies to children and families in Gaza during this devastating crisis. Search UNICEF UK Gaza or text Gaza to 84903 and help bring hope for children caught in this conflict today.
Some people think life slows down in your 50s, but I'm just getting started. And to help my lot, I have over 50s life insurance from Cover Today. They're the only over 50s life insurer with no waiting period. Unlike other insurers who can make you wait up to 2 years, with Cover Today, you're fully covered from day one. Now I'm with Cover Today, I can get on with doing something much more interesting.
To find out more, call our friendly UK team or visit covertoday.co.uk.
Welcome back. This is India Global. Let's now get you the other big international story that's unfolding the last 24 hours, which is what's happening in South Korea. In a stunning political crisis, South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol is now facing an impending impeachment vote after his defense minister offered to resign amidst mounting public outrage. The announcement follows a series of missteps surrounding national security and military readiness that have fueled growing calls for accountability. The defense minister's resignation offer is seen as a desperate move to quell rising tensions after a botched defense strategy to impose martial law on Tuesday exposed the vulnerabilities in the country's response to recent threats from North Korea. Opposition leaders have seized on the scandal, demanding Yoon's removal from office, accusing him of failing to protect the nation and mismanaging military resources. As lawmakers participate in the impeachment vote, South Korea stands at a pivotal moment in its history. Will Yoon be able to weather the storm? Is his presidency now on the brink of collapse? What happens in this political volatility is really set to reshape Seoul's political landscape going forward. All right, let's get in Bill joining us live from Seoul. He's Bureau Chief of Voice of America, to give us a sense of how things are unfolding. Appreciate you taking out the time, Bill, to really talk to us about how things are unfolding on ground. It's an unprecedented political situation there. Tell us what's the situation right now?
Well, tonight we've seen pretty large crowds gather at many points throughout the city here in Seoul. However, those crowds, I think, are really only getting started. This has only been going on for 24 hours. About 24 hours ago, from right now, Yoon Suk-yeol declared martial law, really plunging this country into sort of a prolonged, I think, period of uncertainty. The protests are expected to grow, particularly at the weekends. That was the pattern whenever Park Geun-hye, the previous conservative South Korean president, saw mass protests against her. That eventually resulted in her impeachment. As you mentioned, opposition forces have begun the impeachment process. It's not clear whether they have the votes to see that through, but they only need about 9 members of the ruling party to defect. That doesn't seem like it will be so hard to do. And then they would have to get approval from the Constitutional Court, which would uphold that impeachment. If that happens, then we're looking at a completely different South Korea, politically speaking.
And what are the chances of that actually happening, and what could happen next after, if at all the impeachment goes through? What happens next? Tell us, because this is there's a lot of political uncertainty in the country right now.
Yeah, I mean, it seems right now that many analysts feel that Yoon Suk-yeol will not survive this. I think we're very early on. He's very likely to dig in. This is a man who sort of has a reputation for not necessarily listening to all of the advisors and sort of the best advice around him, to be quite blunt. That's sort of what explains, I think, this sort of confusing move in which he declared martial law, in which he was certain to lose. I mean, we don't really understand what the political calculations even were here. He blames sort of anti-state North Korean forces. That's a long-time political attack in South Korea. But it seems perhaps he took these threats seriously and was actually acting on them. If that's the case, and he actually sees this as an existential threat, I think many expect him to sort of dig in. However, again, there's only 9 members of his party which need to defect. In fact, 18 defected last night when they chose to end martial law. So this seems, pretty certain that they will get those votes. The other question then is whether the Constitutional Court will uphold this and say that Yoon Suk-yeol did commit sort of a crime here in declaring martial law. And that is a bit uncertain because the court is seen as leaning towards the conservative side of the aisle.
All right, Pilkalo joining us live from Seoul to really give us how things are unfolding right now. Appreciate you taking out the time speaking to me on India Global. Let's get in another voice on to really understand what is happening in Seoul and the larger impact of that. Dr. Rahul Raj, Assistant Professor, Center for Korean Studies at JNU, joins me on this. Dr. Raj, how do you see things panning out right now? My colleague, and in fact, Bill was pointing out right now that the president may actually dig in, and that could mean prolonged uncertainty in South Korea going forward.
Good to be here. Actually, yesterday's Yoon's declaration of this martial law was really unprecedented, and it's a legal overreach and miscalculation. Actually, the last martial law was almost in 1980. So, and most of the martial law took place in the military dictatorship. So, since 1987, Korea is a democratic country, free, fair election, and this is very much unprecedented. And a lot of things are there. Today, the opposition parties have presented the bill for the impeachment. And the law says, constitutional law says that within 72 hours, it has to be presented in the parliament also and to be passed. Now, the thing is that out of 300 members, 2/3 members, that is 200 members they need. Now, yesterday, as I was listening, yesterday, of course, 18 members sided to uplift this martial law, and they signed it, and unanimously it was signed, and the martial law president was forced to uplift. However, today, when the opposition parties and the major opposition party, that is Taburo Minjodan and Democratic Party, and the minor opposition parties combined together, they presented, and it was only 191, and none of the ruling party signed in the for the impeachment bill. Second thing is that even if it is passed, suppose some members from the ruling party defect, then the question goes, it will go to Constitutional Court. And there are 8 judges. Out of 8, 6, they have to vote for the impeachment. Now, that is also a little bit political because 4 were appointed by the previous president, former president, Moon Jae-in, and 4 by the current Yoon Suk-yeol president. Yes, and now the problem for the Yoon Suk-yeol is that even if it survives, the problem is how he will face the public. Even he has no strong backing in his own.
You've explained the process. Explain the process. Yeah. But I want to ask you, even if he survives, his political capital is going to be completely eroded for the remainder of his term, isn't it?
Yes, for the remainder of his term, and already he is a lame duck president because the ruling party doesn't have majority in the National Assembly. So he was actually very much frustrated the way the opposition parties were almost like becoming a barrier in passing the bills, especially the budget bill. Now, that's what the thing, he will be a problem not only for the party because even the ruling party, yesterday the ruling party leader, he also condemned that it was not acceptable. And how much he will get support from the ruling party, that is also a question mark. Second thing is, even in the public, those who are in favor of leaning toward the Conservative Party, many of them also don't agree with this martial law.
Okay, now this is about the president and his political survival. Talk to us about who could be his possible successor in the event that it's very unlikely that he will survive the night in Seoul today.
Yes. Suppose if everything goes and it goes to constitutional court, so it will take 4 to 5 months, then this process will be over. Now, in that period, the current Prime Minister of South Korea, Han Duck-soo, he will become like acting president, and for the remaining period, and we have to see how the things unfold after this constitutional, what the constitutional court says, because earlier also the opposition party presented a bill for the impeachment of 2 officials to the constitutional court, and constitutional court rejected it. So we have to see a lot, and it would happen within 24 or to 48 hours how things unfold. So if he is not surviving, then the Prime Minister will become the acting president.
Prime Minister will become the acting president. Political instability in Seoul may continue for some time, and the present president is unlikely to survive the vote that is underway today. Thank you so much, Dr. Raj, for really connecting the dots here for our viewers in terms of what's happening in South Korea. Shifting focus now to the other big story that has just broken. The ICC Champions Trophy has hit a new roadblock. The BCCI, or the Board of Control for Cricket in India, has firmly rejected Pakistan Cricket Board's request to have all their matches played outside India. This development adds a layer of uncertainty to the event. And my colleague Rika Roy joins us with the very latest. Rika, talk to us about the significance of this and what really happens to the tournament.
Well, what really happens to the tournament, we don't know. Everything is up in the air right now. Pakistan, after much deliberations, had accepted the hybrid model, which meant that India would not travel to Pakistan. And that's because the Indian government has not given them clearance to go to Pakistan. So India won't travel. 5 matches involving India, including semi-final and final, if they manage to reach that far, would be played outside of the country. So that is the hybrid model which was proposed by the ICC to PCB, that was voted on, and all the other full members as well as the associate members also voted for the hybrid model. Now, what has happened is that Pakistan said, okay, we are accepting the hybrid model, but that should also be true to India, which means that if India stages an ICC event from now on, they are not going to send a team to India. There are several ICC events India is expected to stage between 2025 to 2031, including a T20 World Cup for men's, a Women's Cricket World Cup, and also the 2031 Cricket World Cup. So those might be at stake, but what is at a bigger stake right now is the tournament itself and Pakistan's status as hosts. If Pakistan loses the tournament, then they will lose $65 million, and that will essentially be out of the gate sales, the sponsorships, all the other revenue from broadcasts and the various other verticals through which they get revenue. ICC will also, if ICC is unable to host this tournament, then they will also take a huge financial hit, and so will the other member boards be. At the moment, because the scheduling has been delayed, the broadcasters will perhaps get on the negotiating table and seek for a lesser or a negotiated sum to be given out to ICC for the Champions Trophy. So lot is up in the air right now. There is an ICC general body meeting that is expected to happen between today and tomorrow, chaired by the new chair of ICC, Jay Shah. They are going to try and troubleshoot. There are various other options also which are moving the tournament altogether out of the country, or having few matches outside of the country. So we'll really have to wait and see which is the formula that finally allows the Champions Trophy to go on and is acceptable by both countries, India and Pakistan.
And indeed, Rika, the offer that really came out, or the counter offer that really came from the Pakistan Cricket Board, is really a deal breaker, isn't it? Because, that just means that the uncertainty may prolong, and possibly other avenues and other alternatives would have to be looked at. In your assessment, you've been working up the phones. How soon could there be some sort of a deal that could come in and an arrangement that could be palatable to all parties?
See, if the Champions Trophy has to be staged in this cycle, which is in February, March, they pretty much have to come up with a solution between tonight and tomorrow. Because any further delay, the broadcasters might say that we are not interested to host your tournament, to have your tournament broadcast on our platform, because we are not getting a long enough window to advertise the tournament and hence also raise revenue towards the tournament. So and why is this important? Because they are the biggest stakeholders of Champions Trophy. So if it is delayed beyond tomorrow, we will probably have to wait and see what is the future of the tournament.
All right, Rika, I appreciate you taking out the time and really telling us, and I believe it's going to be a long night for you, working up the phones to try and find out whether or not the Champions Trophy takes place on time, and more importantly, where exactly would you be traveling to cover that tournament. Appreciate you taking out the time. All right, on that note, it's a wrap on this edition of India Global. Thanks so much for watching.
Health isn't someday in the future, it's now. It's same-day GP appointments, physio without GP referrals, cancer testing, scans and diagnosis fast. Questions for an expert at any hour about anything. Support that lasts for as long as it takes. Feeling your best every day starts today. Call or go online now for your health insurance quote.
What's wrong with the car? It's okay, lads. I'm with the AA. Bombay mix.
Because the AA has more expert patrols across the country, you'll be back on the road in no time. No wonder more people choose the AA. Join today.
I've got the scratch cards.
What's going on?
Musical scratch cards. It's a Bennett family tradition. And go.
Never stops for me. Pass it to Katie.
Oh, Katie, what didn't you say?
Hey, Dad! Bless you in the arm.
Oh,
that's brilliant.
Add some play to Christmas with scratch cards from the National Lottery.
Christmas can be challenging at the best of times.
Okay, Mum.
But for families who have lost or are losing a loved one, it can be overwhelming.
They're here. They're here. Oh, Annie. Hello. So pleased to see you.
So amid the anger, could you give £23 to fund an hour of care? In between the stress,
It's not too late. No, you're not too late.
could you fund an hour of comfort? And amongst the grief,
You're not alone.
could you fund an hour of joy?
Okay, Mum. You all right?
This isn't the kind of Christmas anyone ever wanted. But with your help, we can be there to make it the best one possible. To give £23 for an hour of care, comfort and joy, please call 0800 810 0212, text CARE to 70488 or search Marie Curie Christmas. Thank you.
Get comfy this Christmas with Pillow Pad Fold Away from JML, the multi-angle viewing stand that makes any device easy to see, comfortable and hands-free. The plush microfiber ledge holds any device securely at the perfect viewing angle, and it comes with a handy storage compartment. It's a great gift for sofa surfers. Whether you're sitting, lounging or lying down, get the perfect view with Pillow Pad Fold Away. Only $19.99 from Asda, Dunelm, Morrison's, Tesco and jmldirect.com.
This is NDTV, and you're watching NDTV 24/7.
Hello and welcome to the Southern View. I'm Veera Raghav, and the special focus this evening is on the plea by a section of the Tamil Film Producers Council at the Madras High Court seeking a ban on online film reviews soon after a film hits the theatres. We'll have a special panel up ahead on that, but first the headlines we're tracking this hour. The Maharashtra suspense ends. Devendra Fadnavis is the Chief Minister-elect of Maharashtra. He meets the Governor with Eknath Shinde and Ajit Pawar to stake claim to form the government. Prime Minister Modi to attend the swearing-in ceremony at Azad Maidan at 5:30 p.m. tomorrow. Akali Dal Chief Sukhbir Badal survives an assassination attempt at the Golden Temple. A man with alleged Khalistani links fires a shot at him in a dramatic moment caught on camera. BJP and the Congress tell the AAP government to take tough action. Siddaramaiah and the Congress hit back at the Enforcement Directorate after reports of an ED letter to the Lokayukta. Congress says it's politically motivated if the ED wrote on irregularities in the Muda case a day before the case comes up before the High Court. Pakistan Cricket Board says the hybrid model is agreeable if it's used in the future as well. The BCCI rejects that proposal, says no hybrid model in the future. First up this evening, the big political face-off in Karnataka. The Congress in the state aggressively hit back at the Enforcement Directorate and the central government after reports that the ED had written a letter to the Karnataka Lokayukta alleging irregularities in the Muda case. Chief Minister Siddaramaiah termed it, and I quote, politically motivated and prejudicial of the central agency to write a letter to the Lokayukta and leak it selectively to a section of the media just a day ahead of a hearing in the Muda case in the Karnataka High Court. His cabinet colleagues also came out in strong defense of the Chief Minister and questioned such reported observations by the Enforcement Directorate in that reported letter. The Lokayukta had sought a report from the Enforcement Directorate and has been investigating the alleged Muda case in which Siddaramaiah's wife was allegedly a beneficiary of a Mysore Urban Development Authority plot allotment policy which was flawed and cost losses to the Exchequer. Meanwhile, the Congress has organized a massive rally to showcase a show of strength at Hasnat, the Janata Dal Secular's home turf, under the leadership of Siddaramaiah tomorrow to reiterate the party's victory in the by-polls to the 3 assembly seats in the state.
ತನಿಖೆ ಮಾಡಿ ಇದನ್ನ ಕೊಡಿ ಅಂತ ಲೋಕಾಯುಕ್ತ ಪೊಲೀಸ್ನ ಕೊಡಿ ಅಂತ ಡಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಕ್ಟ್ ಕೋರ್ಟ್ನವರು ಏನಂತ ಹೇಳಿರೋದು ಡಿಸೆಂಬರ್ 24 ಒಳಗಡೆ ತನಿಖೆ ಮಾಡಿ ರಿಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಕೊಡಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿರೋದು. ಅವರು ತನಿಖೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಇವರು ಯಾಕೆ ಲೆಟರ್ ಬರೀತಾರೆ? ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದೇರ್ ಇಂಟೆನ್ಷನ್? ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಡೆಲಿಬರೇಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಅಲ್ವೇನ್ರಿ? ಡೆಲಿಬರೇಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲ. ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ ರಾಜಕೀಯ ದುರುದ್ದೇಶದಿಂದ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು. ರಾಜಕೀಯವಾಗಿ ಅವರು ಈ ಕೇಸನ್ನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವುದೇ ಸತ್ಯಾಂಶ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಗೊತ್ತಾಯ್ತಾ? ಅವರು ತನಿಖೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಲೆಟ್ ದೆಮ್ ಗಿವ್ ದಿ ರಿಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಇಂಡಿಪೆಂಡೆಂಟ್ಲಿ. ವೈ ದೇ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ರಿಟನ್ ಎ ಲೆಟರ್?
ನಾವು ಅವತ್ತಿನೂ ಕೂಡ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇವೆ, ಭಾರತೀಯ ಜನತಾ ಪಾರ್ಟಿ ಮೈಸೂರಿನ ಮೂಡಾ ಹಗರಣ ಅಥವಾ ಮೂಡಾ ಪ್ರಕರಣ ಮುಖ್ಯಮಂತ್ರಿಗಳ ಕುಟುಂಬಕ್ಕೆ ಅಕ್ರಮವಾಗಿ ಬಂದಿರತಕ್ಕಂಥ 14 ನಿವೇಶನಗಳಿಗೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ಸೀಮಿತ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಮೊದಲ ಹಂತದಲ್ಲಿ ಎನ್ಫೋರ್ಸ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟರೇಟ್ ಹೇಳಿದೆ 700 ಕೋಟಿಗೂ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಬೆಲೆ ಬಾಳ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ನಿವೇಶನಗಳು ಇವತ್ತು ದೊಡ್ಡ ಹಗರಣ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅನ್ನೋ ಮಾತನ್ನ ಎನ್ಫೋರ್ಸ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟರೇಟ್ ಹೇಳಿದೆ. ಮತ್ತೆ 14 ನಿವೇಶನಗಳಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಸಂಪೂರ್ಣವಾಗಿ ಅಕ್ರಮ ಆಗಿದೆ.
It's very clear that these allegations that ED has put forth, supposedly to have put forth to Lokayukta, is politically motivated. And what, first of all, nobody knows how ED has the jurisdiction to speak on denotification, sale deeds, gift deeds, and other aspects of the thing. They are here supposedly here for money, to see if money was laundered. Since there is no proceeds of crime, they are not finding any breakthrough in the investigation.
Well, the political face-off in Karnataka getting more intense. Joining me now is my colleague Pratibha Raman, who's been tracking this very closely. Pratibha, Congress obviously taking an extremely aggressive approach as far as that supposed letter from the Enforcement Directorate to the Lokayukta is concerned, the reported one. But all eyes on the case tomorrow in the High Court.
That's right. The ball is in the court, definitely, because Chief Minister Siddaramaiah has approached the court to try and see if he could try his luck with respect to changing the governor's permission for prosecution there. On one hand, yes, the Muda allegations seem to be haunting him day in and day out. But on the other, we should also look at the BJP's infighting that is on, and the opposition also trying its best to keep these allegations alive so that they could corner Siddaramaiah there. This also comes a day before a rally that has been organized by Siddaramaiah. Though it is under the party's name, it is also seen as a show of strength that is being displayed by Siddaramaiah, especially with all these Muda allegations that have been haunting him. And the BJP also seems to be looking at it in terms of having lost the 3 seats in the recent by-election there. So a political flashpoint of sorts, both trying to fight this legally as well as politically. Back to you, Veera.
Right. Remember, Pratibha, the BJP also having its own internal issues with the kind of comments that's come from Basanagowda Patil Yatnal against the state president, B.Y. Vijendra. Thanks very much for the update. We'll keep a close tab of that case and the political developments here. But now to our special focus this evening. Will Tamil Nadu follow the Kerala precedent and brace for restrictions on online film reviewers? This question after the Tamil Film Producers Association, Active Film Producers Association, this is one part of the Producers Association, moved the Madras High Court seeking a ban on online YouTube film reviews for 3 days after a film is released. The producers argue that reviewers run systematic negative campaigns for some films without giving the audience a chance to make up their minds, and hence a cooling off period after a film's release must be enforced to let the audience make their mind up on it. While the Madras High Court asked some tough questions on whether this would be infringement of freedom of speech and how the court could interfere in this matter to the petitioners and refused an interim order imposing a ban, it has asked the centre and the state governments to file their responses. Remember, the Kerala High Court in 2023 had imposed restrictions on film reviews, and the Tamil Nadu Active Film Producers Association moved the court triggered by the blockbuster disaster of actor Surya's Kanguva, which was one of the most expensive films made in Tamil cinema with a reported budget of 350 crores. Producers and filmmakers blame negative campaign against the film and personal attacks against the stars as one of the reasons, amongst many others, for the film's failure. So is a ban the only way out, and is it a fair solution? Joining me this evening, Khushbu Jain, advocate at the Supreme Court, actor Sanjana Galrani, and noted film critic Lata Srinivasan. To all 3 of you, we've had this conversation before, and I want to go first to you, Sanjana Galrani. How do you distinguish, and this is a question we've posed before as well, how do you distinguish between the good, authentic reviewer and one who's running a negative campaign? And if you're going to get a ban on reviews for 3 days after a film is being released, can it be practically implementable on social media and in online platforms? Quick response from you.
I think the mainstream reviewers, the mainstream newspaper and mainstream channels are somebody whom no one can stop, because there has to be a freedom of speech, there has to be a freedom of opinion. But yes, when it comes to the reviewers who are just very small, I feel bad for them, because somewhere they will lose their career. But on the other hand, if films win, if films do really well, and if these obstacles are really removed from the way, then the industry grows and there are more opportunities worldwide that happen, you know. There are more distributors get to earn money, more technicians get to earn money on the ground level, more actors get work, more and more films happen if the producers win. So looking at the larger picture, I would be really happy if the unauthentic reviewers are really, taken off their rights of reviewing. And I hope that this really works out.
Sanjana, the problem really is this unauthentic reviewers that you say. It's easy to say that term, but how is it going to be practically possible to implement that? And before I get to Lata, who has also made her points very firmly on this issue, Khushbu Jain, from a legal point of view, how do you restrict somebody who, you use Twitter, you use your YouTube, how do you restrict somebody from commenting on a film that they've just come out and watch? And how do you restrict and demarcate between these unauthentic reviewers running a negative campaign vis-a-vis somebody who's an authentic reviewer? Well, it seems legally a very, very difficult task to do that.
Absolutely. See, the entire heart of this debate lies in the aspect of freedom of speech and expression, which in a way is a cornerstone of your democracy. And when I say freedom of speech and expression, it does give you an aspect where you can, it guarantees you the right to express your any reviews or any part of it, which is part and parcel of your speech and expression. Now, this freedom of speech and expression is not an absolute right, but that absolute, the exclusion also one has to see very clearly and categorically that they come on the aspect of whether it comes into A, B, C, D criteria that is hurting the national security, or it's going to create a law and order situation, and so on and so forth. But nowhere it in a way bans my freedom of speech and expression on the aspect that if I am watching something and I want to put a review, whether it can be a critical review, that is my absolute fundamental right under Article 19(1) of Constitution. That's number one. Number two, the demarcate part of it, or questioning or putting a personal comment on somebody who's associated with the movie. It can be actors, it can be directors or producers for that matter. That's where the law 376 clearly talks about.
We seem to have lost the line with Khushbu Jain for... Khushbu, I think your line seems to be freezing up. Maybe we can get that sorted. Yes, maybe we can get that sorted, and we'll come back to that question because, there are multiple layers to it. There are reasonable restrictions, and a negative campaign, a malicious negative campaign against a film ought to be stopped as well, Lata. But how do we demarcate that? It's an extremely difficult line to tread on social media between protecting somebody's right to say something about a film or any other aspect, and B, to protect a film from such a negative campaign. I mean, it's quite a difficult act to balance out.
Absolutely, Raghav. I think the fundamental thing when we talk about freedom of expression is that just as the filmmaker has the right to make a kind of film that he wants, right? The audience, whoever so it may be, whether it's from somebody from the media or a regular audience goer, has a right to express his or her opinion about the film, whether they like it or not. So I think the freedom of expression applies to both of them, right? Now, when the Tamil Nadu, Active Producers Association says, positive reviews can be given, immediately after the film, but no negative reviews should be given. I mean, that doesn't even make any logical sense, right? And another important aspect is that you have to see is that there are a lot of fan wars, fans of Ajit versus fans of Vijay versus fans of Surya, who also tend to put up negative reviews and stories, and, because it's their hero versus another hero and so on and so forth. How will you control all this? It's just impossible because social media is an individual person's expression. They have every right to use it, whether they use Twitter or Insta or YouTube, so on and so forth. So how does, how do the producers think they can control it? It just doesn't seem logical at all, this whole argument.
You're making a very strong point. It doesn't seem logical at all. Khushbu Jain, we lost you for a bit. From a legal point of view, how do you then protect, while we want to protect the freedom of speech of the reviewer to put out whatever they want to say, how do you then protect a filmmaker from a malicious negative campaign? Because there are producers, Khushbu, who accuse that if some of the reviewers are not given money or are not treated well, they tend to purposely go out and run a negative campaign against a film, A, and B, also come up with incendiary attacks on certain stars and be very, very virulent in their observations on certain stars making personal attacks. How do we then protect them?
We need to separate I absolutely agree with you, and I understand what you're saying. We need to separate the aspect of my freedom of speech and expression as a viewer who can have a critical review, and that is a fundamental right which is guaranteed under the Constitution under 19(1)(a). That's a separate issue. Now, the issue that comes is people indulging into writing something which is personal or which is defamatory to actors, or it can be to directors or people associated with the movie. Now, that's where come in that you have Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, which specifically deals with defamation as a punishable offense. There are penalties that can be imposed. There is an aspect of imprisonment. Number one. Number two, if there is a systematic use of technology on platforms where you try to impose something, to do something which can have a negative impact and which can get into harmful or impact into the sale of specific something, that also you can put in that quantum of amount that is being, because of which you have lost that amount, and you can put that as a part of that defamation and claim that amount from the person who's been done so. But putting a blanket ban on a social media,
these are
where I can my review is something which is impractical and takes away your basic fundamental right of freedom of speech and expression, which is guaranteed in the Constitution.
You made a very strong point, Sanjana Galrani. How do we, actors are also enormous influencers, and perhaps the film industry has the power of influencing. Now, if the film industry comes together and wants to protect itself, a reviewer may not stand a chance on the social media universe. Unfortunately, is it cracks within the film industry itself which aid and abet such negative campaigns and such personal attacks? And should the industry first look inside for a solution before trying to go down and start banning social media reviewers? Quick response from you.
I have been a victim of the system myself. I was brutally trolled and in a particular situation, and I was pulled into a legal battle, and everything which was wrong and everything which was untrue was written. And I had no other choice but to go to the court and take a stay, not just on the social media reviewers, but also on the media, saying, if you're writing anything about me, write legitimate. Otherwise, don't write at all. The same way, if you're watching a film, if you like the film, you want to write something legitimate, you write. If you don't like the film, you can just write that, okay, the film is an average film or something like that, but you cannot go down to the neck of the actor or to the neck of the director and criticize them to the grave, saying, okay, you made the worst film on the planet and this film has not been worth watching for a minute, and commit a suicide, but don't go and watch this film. This is the kind of reviews we are talking about when we are talking about banning really mean reviewers who are misutilizing the social media, where people literally say, go commit suicide, but don't go and watch that film. Imagine the plight of the producer who has invested so much money. If you make such derogative comments on any film, what happens to the producer and what happens to the future of the film industry? So there has to be a line which has to be drawn. There has to be a line which has to be drawn when you're reviewing a film.
But
That's
Sanjana,
what is
there's
the point which is being trying to convey over here.
No, you made a strong point, but Sanjana, there's also the question of the person who's purchasing the ticket to go watch a film, right? So he's bought a product. Now, if he doesn't like it, he has the right to write whatever review is there. If you don't like an Uber cab ride, you're going to write a review as sharp as possible. Most consumers.
A film also has a life.
If he's going to say something, it could be in jest, right?
If you don't like a human being, if you don't like a human being,
right.
you can't brutalize that person saying he's a terrorist, he's a thief or whatever. You can just say, I don't like this person and get done with it. But you cannot go and make personal attacks to kill that person's image. Similarly, you cannot make personal attacks to kill the film.
Absolutely.
You don't like the film, fine. You can just review it saying it's not a great film.
Right.
That is acceptable because that is the truth. But you cannot go down and tarnish the film and kill it by its neck.
Lata, finally... No, I get what the point you're making, but Lata, ultimately, it's also the fact that stars themselves try to make themselves bigger than life, which is why they get that kind of a reaction as well. So there is a flip side to this argument as well, isn't it?
Absolutely. I think there is a flip side to it, like you said, because stars, also start believing in a larger than life image that they have. And they want everybody to, worship them and idolize them. And they believe that every single movie they make is a fantastic film. right? Now, I really don't know how grounded they are in reality, because I think filmmakers also have a responsibility to make good cinema. If you make a bad film, you have to also accept the verdict that it's a bad film. If you make a good film, people are going to laud you, appreciate it. For instance, you've seen Lucky Bhaskar and Amaran, which are still running in theaters. So I think, it's both ways. What has happened to Kangua is unfortunate, but it should not be that this is the cornerstone for everything going forward. It's just one incident, isn't it, at this point?
Right. Right, important point that you make there. A good film can survive any review, but thanks to all three of you for joining us for this very interesting conversation. We'll keep a close watch of how that case progresses at the Madras High Court. Now, we're all about out of time, but finally, one side of a newly constructed bridge on the Tenpennar River in the Tiruvannamalai district of Tamil Nadu collapsed. The government says the bridge was not designed to take such heavy floods. It's not an explanation that will cut much ice from the PWD minister of the state. Those dramatic pictures from Tiruvannamalai where that bridge, one side of it, collapsed. It's a newly built bridge just 90 days ago. And as surplus waters from a nearby dam rushed into the Tenpennar River, what rose was toxic foam. These dramatic pictures of the river looking like foam is the result of effluents let into the river by polluting industrial units in the Tamil Nadu-Karnataka border during the heavy rains. Unfortunately, this is the toxic reality that we have to live with, whether it is the lakes of Bengaluru or a river in Tamil Nadu. That's all we have time for on the Southern View this evening. News and updates continue right here on NDTV. Thanks for watching.
Hello, Moto.
It's Black Friday, so say OMG to this unlimited data SIM. For our best ever price, only £22 per month. Meaning everyone can keep connected to friends and family right through Christmas. All on the UK's best network. That's why families choose EE. Hurry, offer ends Thursday.
No child should suffer the torture of trachoma, but so many are in pain right now. Nananga's lashes have turned inwards. They rip and tear away at his eyes. Pamelo's sight could be gone forever. He's just 3 years old. Kofanga screams for his mother. His eyes are so infected that he can't even see her. For so many children in the world's poorest countries, trachoma is torture. It's a painful infection often spread by flies, and it's destroying children's eyesight. But it could be stopped if you help today. By calling 0800 021 3925 and giving £2 a month to Sightsavers, you can help make sure children get the treatment they desperately need. You'll help us bring them the medicines and the care that can treat infections. And that means you'll be helping to save children from the torture of trachoma and a life of blindness. Please help us reach them. Call 0800 021 3925, text C7 to 82727, or go online and give just £2 a month now. Because we need you to help save the sight of children like Nananga. We need you to help save them from the torture of trachoma.
It's great to be helping out before my first grandchild arrives. And after having a few repairs myself, I need to make sure they'll all be protected. Which reminds me.
Welcome to British Seniors, the UK's #1 rated provider of over 50s life insurance.
Hi, I'd like a quick quote.
No problem. We're proud to offer our seniors lifetime guarantee. With 100% of claims having been paid, we guarantee your premiums will never go up and that you'll speak to one of our specialists in the UK. UK residents aged 50 to 80 are guaranteed to be accepted. Depending on your age, your loved ones can get a cash payout up to £10,000.
Wow, that money could help with funeral costs or as a gift for my grandkid. I'll do it.
Plus, when you sign up, you'll receive a £135 gift card and free 24/7 GP advice and health services.
He's going to be named after his granddad.
Be proud to protect your loved ones with British Seniors. To get a free quote today, call our UK team on 0800 470 4444 or visit britishseniors.co.uk.
You know, the toughest part of the whole grief, I'll never forget, is when Nan turned to me one time and she goes, "John, I don't know what's happening to me."
Those weeks that he came in, with the 3 weeks that I could be his little girl again, nothing I can do will repay Marie Curie for doing that for. The amazing gift that they gave me was I was there at his last breath. He was there for my first.
In the calls, they just listen. She just said, "John, just speak."
Although people don't like to talk about it, but we're getting older, it has to be done.
You start to think about, well, what would I do? Where would I want to leave things?
I will give everything back that I can to the hospice that gave me so much, not only in my name, but in Dad's name.
Who do I give my assets to?
I didn't realise you had a choice.
Give better end-of-life care to all. Get your free will guide today.
अपने टैलेंट के दम पे तमाम दरवाजे खोले। किसी बड़े बाप की औलाद नहीं था वो आदमी, उसकी सक्सेस से तो तमाम लोगों को जो इंस्पिरेशन मिलती है वो नेक्स्ट लेवल है।
सर वो तो है, लेकिन उसके साथ साथ रुकावट तो बहुत थी, क्योंकि ये लड़का जिस रफ्तार से आगे जा रहा था, बहुत तो रुकावट तो आएगी। तो रुकावट ऐसे आई कि हीरोइन को बोल दिया जाता था कि इसके साथ काम मत करो, तो करते भी नहीं थे। फिर किसी भी तरह कैसे भी कोई भी फिल्म मिल जाए, मैं बोला नहीं करना कि मेरे दिल में को ऐसे हारूंगा तो लड़ के हारूंगा, ऐसे नहीं हारूंगा मैं। तो वो एक बात तो थी। तो दोपहर वही जो काले रंग वाली बात है ना, वही बात मुझे बहुत दिमाग बहुत रोता था, बहुत ये सचमुच के बहुत रोता था कि भगवान ये कैसे तोड़ूँ मैं, कैसे हो सकता है। फिर एक दिन दिमाग में आया मैं तो डांस कर सकता हूँ, है ना। मैं डिस्को डांसर के पहले की बात कर रहा हूँ,